Meet Takumi, our unlucky protagonist. He's been ice-skied. Goddess Nalim admits he was summoned by total accident, which is quite awkward. The spell usually picks heroes from a list, but Takumi was just an uninvited party crasher. If you want to be the chosen one, just like and subscribe to the channel for support. Now back to the chaos. This forbidden spell is dangerous enough to turn the world into dust. It's strictly off limits now, but the Sidonia Empire used it. Nalim tried stopping them, but she failed quite miserably. That is how Takumi got here. He wonders where everyone is. Nalim says the real heroes were sent to the Empire. Realizing he's just a mistake, he asks for a ticket back home. She refuses because she got so mad she broke the spell forever, meaning there is no way for him to return. Plus, even if he could return, he basically has no body. Takumi panics about his future, so Nalim tells him to enjoy his new life. The Empire would treat a non-hero like total trash, so she's not sending him there to be bullied by some armored jerks. Running out of options, Nalim feels kind of bad for him. She decides to ship him to a better nation with support. She throws in a blessing as a my bad for ruining his life. Takumi is terrified of monsters, so she promises he won't die immediately in the wild. He checks his status and realizes he is now a 17-year-old kid again. Back home, he was just an overworked corporate salary slave. No wife, no kids. He lived to work, much like every other miserable adult today. Suddenly, Molly screams for help while a giant rabbit with horns tries to eat her face. The bunny attacks, but Takumi accidentally stabs it to death with a lucky spear. He thinks he is blessed, but it turns out he is just lucky. He hits level 1 and becomes a warrior, which is just too much work. He's not thrilled since he just wanted to retire early. Molly thanks him, and he offers to walk her back to her boring little village. She agrees and suggests taking the rabbit, since apparently giant rodents are delicious here. He shoves the carcass into his magic inventory. Meanwhile, the real heroes meet Empress Elizabeth, who is probably not a villain at all. She says they need to save the world with hero stuff, but her explanation is about as clear as mud. A girl named Akane gets a skill. She gains a special revelation, blessing from the goddess herself. She is told her instincts will always lead her the right way. And her instincts say Elizabeth is definitely a snake. Back with Takumi, he arrives at the village and meets Molly's parents, Banga and Martha. They're grateful he saved their kid and let him crash in the village permanently. The blacksmith Bobbin joins in. He says the area is loaded with minerals, which excites Takumi. There is no hotel, so Takumi decides to just build himself a house like a pro. He uses earth magic to level the ground and everyone acts impressed. But it drains his mana bar. He decorates the place using his DIY skills because he's basically a magical handyman. He switches his job to blacksmith and starts playing with rocks with Bobbin. Using alchemy, he turns ore into ingots and gets so hyped he literally passes out from exhaustion. Martha scolds him for being reckless while Banga gives him some healing juice. He keeps grinding alchemy while the ladies watch him like a hawk. He crafts tools for his house and hits level 32 in alchemy because he has no life. His blacksmithing hits 40, but he insists on being an alchemist instead of a metalworker. He wants to be like Edward Elric, so he asks Banga for some potion samples. Banga thinks they are just basic drinks. Takumi wants to brew his own, so Banga offers to buy whatever he makes. He mixes weeds and water, but the color is completely wrong compared to the sample. He feels mana flowing inside the brew. He wonders if using water magic made it better or worse. Testing it seems dangerous, so he hesitates. He decides to eat random plants to build resistance and level up his light magic. He almost dies after eating a poison weed, but heals himself at the last second. He learns a purification spell just as a massive armored pig shows up. He has to fight for his life as it charges. He throws a knife as a distraction, but the boar doesn't care. Even a spear strike does 0 damage to it. Wind and earth attacks fail because this pig is built like a tank. The creature is too tough. He looks for a weak spot. Then he spots a poisonous spider hiding in the grass. It's already injured, but it seems to have a grudge against the pig. The spider bites the boar, but the poison fails, leaving Takumi very stressed out. Suddenly, his intuition kicks in, and he realizes he only has 1 shot left. He jumps and uses alchemy to attack, though the impact sends him flying. He gets up and heals the spider since it actually tried to help. He accidentally tames her and names her Keed because of the weird leaf pattern on her back. It is apparently a very specific leaf. Keed grows a new leg, and they bring the boar home to amaze everyone. People are shocked he tamed a deadly bug, turning this alchemist into a beast tamer. They eat the boar, and Banga gives him the leftovers to sell for cash. He can sell them in the next town. Nalim watches him and reveals she sent him a year back in time because she liked him. There was no deep reason other than wanting him to have a nice life. She just thought he was a good kid. Takumi wakes up covered in webs and asks Keed why she tied him up. She's just lonely because he's always working, so he takes a break to play. Then Martha walks in and gets the wrong idea entirely. He explains Keed isn't eating him, but Martha is just obsessed with the silk. Spider silk is basically the Gucci of this world, and only nobles afford it. Martha wants Keed to produce more silk. She tries talking to the bug, and shockingly, Keed actually listens and makes it. Takumi wants to play like they promised, but Keed is too busy working, so he just goes back to crafting. A month passes, and he decides he needs to leave the village to study real alchemy. Bobbin makes him armor and shoes designed for kicking things, which is very specific. Banga and Bobbin are sad, but they know he needs to go to a city. A bigger city has better opportunities for a budding alchemist. Banga says a merchant named Papuk is coming soon and can give him a ride. Takumi thanks them and then runs into Martha with some rabbit meat. She says it tastes great, but they have to trash it because it rots too fast. He uses purification magic, and Martha realizes he is a rare light magic user. She tells him to keep it secret so he doesn't get kidnapped. Strong magic like that is worth a massive fortune. Takumi spends his final days helping the village grow because he's actually a nice guy. Papuk arrives and is stunned by how much the village has improved lately. Takumi gives Banga 100 potions as a parting gift, which is way too many. Martha gives him clothes made of spider silk as a goodbye present from everyone. He promises to treasure it and definitely not lose it. The merchant sees the friendship, while his guard Hit starts crying like a total baby. His friend tells him he's acting like a weird old man. Papuk introduces the two as Lion Fangs, a ranksy party of professional adventurers. Takumi realizes they are his bodyguards, but Hit ignores that, complaining the area is so boring it barely has any monsters worth fighting at all. They ask what he's carrying. He mentions his pet spider. The group is shocked, but Keed weirdly likes the third member Bogga, making the others jealous of their strange and sudden buggy bond. While they bicker, Papuk asks for more potions, but Takumi stops the carriage because a mob of goblins is literally blocking their path forward. The Lion Fangs get excited since this is what guards actually do. Takumi, however, is terrified because he has never seen a real goblin before. Papuk tries to calm him, saying this is normal for merchants, but he finds Takumi's panic pretty hilarious. The group shreds the goblins, though it took longer than they expected. They continue their trip and finally reach the city of Bolton in the Barkula Kingdom. Takumi finds the city quite impressive and visits the guild with the Lion Fangs group. They need his help to report the mission. He asks to join the Alchemist Guild, but learns there isn't actually such a guild. The receptionist says that most people just sign up for the Adventurers Guild. Use the card for ID. As long as you do one job monthly, nobody really cares about anything else. He registers as an adventurer with his pet. The receptionist is impressed. He tamed such a terrifyingly dangerous little spider monster. Takumi visits Papuk's base to sell potions. Papuk offers to buy his whole stock, making Takumi happy, totaling roughly 7 million yen. It is a lot of money, but Papuk lowballs him because Takumi is new and has zero reputation. Takumi thinks this is too good to be true and wonders if Papuk is shady, but then decides he doesn't seem like a total scammer. Papuk tells Takumi he should stay in a house that includes a separate workshop. He shows him a company house. The rent is cheap, and Takumi is shocked to see it is actually a massive mansion. He wonders if the place is haunted since it is way too affordable. Thomas, the assistant, says it is ghost-free, so Takumi can move in tomorrow morning. Walking through the city, Takumi notices a smell that could kill a horse. Thomas explains that only the rich use magic to clean sewage. Those devices are rare loot found in dungeons or ancient ruins. Commoners can't afford them, so the city ends up smelling like a massive open sewer all day long. Takumi asks if they even bother cleaning the waste. Thomas says priests are hired sometimes, but mostly everyone just suffers in the stench. The next day, Takumi and Keed move in, and he immediately starts building a bathroom. He uses materials he bought from Papak's business. He successfully crafts the item, which boosts his light magic and alchemy levels significantly. But it burns all his mana, so he has to chug potions to stay conscious. He is proud of the result, but a sudden scream ruins the moment. He finds Papak caught in one of Keed's sticky traps. Surprisingly, Papak isn't mad. He actually thinks the web feels quite cozy. Takumi apologizes for the bug. The merchant doesn't care and asks to use the new bathroom. He is blown away by the sight of a toilet. Takumi explains how it works since Papak has never seen indoor plumbing. He mentions the toilet purifies waste, which makes Papak realize Takumi uses light magic. Takumi remembers the warning and begs Papak to keep his mouth shut about it. Papak agrees, but only if Takumi builds him 100 more toilets. Takumi says yes, then realizes that is way too much manual labor for one guy. Papak suggests buying a slave since a magic contract would force them to keep secrets. Plus, they can handle the protection and cleaning of the big house. Papak says light magic talent is rare, making him a prime target for the Church of Divine Light. The problem is the Church exploits anyone with this power for their own gains. They mostly use people for healing. He worries the project will attract the greedy Church, making him rethink the plan. However, Papak has a clever scheme to keep Takumi's true identity a total secret. Takumi isn't a fan of slavery, so he tries to do the work alone. But the conversation ends when his guild card starts glowing like crazy. He needs to finish a mission soon, and that's when he realizes he definitely needs help. They go to the Milan company, the local hub for human trafficking. Papak tells Takumi to wait outside in the garden area. He meets an elf named Sophia who tells him to leave because children shouldn't be here. Takumi meets the owner, Mulin, and Papak explains the kids' moral issues with owning people. But Mulin explains that slaves actually have rights in this kingdom. Owners must provide basic needs and follow rules regarding their treatment. Violence is banned, and the owner can't force them into tasks outside the initial legal contract. Takumi is surprised to hear that being a slave here is basically just a strict job. Some are paying off debt, while others are criminals being rehabilitated through labor. Even prisoners of war use contracts to find a place to live. Papak thinks a war prisoner is best because they can't leave without permission, which would keep Takumi's secrets safe from any future prying eyes or Empire spies. Milan asks for Takumi's final opinion. He admits he has secrets and plans to visit dangerous places while looking for rare loot. He needs a fighter, but she says housekeeping and guarding are different jobs, so he needs two. She introduces Maria, a girl trained in chores who was snatched by bandits as a kid. Takumi mentions his mansion, and her confidence in handling the work really surprises him. He didn't think such a pretty girl would be available for hire. She gets nervous and clarifies she won't sleep with him, which scares him a bit. He confirms he just wants a maid, and she thanks him for picking her. Mulan says they don't have war slaves right now. Maria mentions Sophia, but Mulan tells the girl to stay out of it. She sends Maria to go pack her bags immediately. Takumi asks about Sophia, and Mulan admits the elf has some pretty complicated issues. He decides to follow his gut feeling and insists on meeting this problematic elf. Milan introduces Sophia, captured 50 years ago during a war between two rival kingdoms. She hasn't had a master in decades because of her condition. Her body is broken, and she can't use magic anymore since it was sealed long ago. Takumi asks to talk to her alone while Milan steps out of the room. He introduces himself to her. She says she is useless, but he checks her status and sees a warrior. He thinks if he heals her and breaks the curse, she will be a massive asset. He tells Milan he wants a contract, which makes her happy, though Sophia is hesitant. They finish the paperwork and Milan locks in the magical binding between them. The girls thank their new master, but he thinks he is the lucky one. Sophia asks him to drop the politeness, but Mulin thinks he'll be a great boss. Takumi takes them home, and they both freak out when they see the giant spider. He explains they will all live together with private rooms, which shocks Sophia. He says there is plenty of space, and they can use the nice bathroom whenever. Maria is stunned Mulan let Sophia go, since the owner usually refused to sell her. Sophia gets lost in thought, and when Maria asks, she notices Takumi's contract left his birth and lineage blank. She starts to wonder if their new master is hiding something dark. Takumi starts cooking dinner for them. Maria is embarrassed because cooking is supposed to be her job. He says it's cool and she can just handle the cleaning. He wants them at the table to do things together and drops the master title for his name. Later, Takumi meets Papik to grab the supplies he ordered on his way home. Takumi finds a church with a statue of goddess Nalim inside. He thanks her but wonders why she trashed Sidonia during their first awkward and weird meeting. Suddenly, he's teleported to her, and Nalim notes he isn't part of any official church. He wonders how he got here. She reveals his prayers reached her, so she quickly summoned him. She explains there are two religions, the Creation Church and the Divine Light Church. The Creation team worships her, but Divine Light worships a fake god they literally just made up. Sidonia used brute force to spread this fake cult, and she couldn't interfere with their petty human drama. That is how Sidonia managed to trigger the summoning spell. She says his blessings are permanent, but his tutorial period is ending and things will get much harder. He's about to start running into people with actual malicious intentions. Meanwhile, in the Sidonia Empire, the Emperor asks about the 3 summoned heroes. They are being trained, and the Empress managed to trick them into helping the Empire's cause. We see 2 heroes, Akira and Yamato, training together. Their instructor tells them to give their best effort. They ask Akin to join, but she refuses because she hates violence and training. Elizabeth appears, claiming they just need strength to save the world from total destruction. Akira tells Akin she's safe because he will always be there to protect her. This really impresses Elizabeth, but Akin thinks she is dangerous and doesn't trust Elizabeth at all. Takumi returns home, but he ends up slipping and falling like a total klutz. He uses magic to warp the items into his chest, making Sophia very suspicious of him. He says he has work and tells the girls to eat dinner without him tonight. Sophia follows him and finds him cutting his arm and healing it for practice. He admits it looks crazy, but he needs to train his magic abilities. He mentions Maria was cruel, and Sophia gets worried just hearing the girl's name. She runs to confront him, but she loses her strength and collapses on him. Takumi heals her hand despite her body resisting magic, which increases his light magic level significantly. He takes her back and uses his powers to remove her curse and heal her completely. Sophia wakes up and tries to warn Maria, but Maria shows her a mirror as proof. Sophia goes to see Takumi. She thanks him for the healing and breaking her curse. He reveals he used a strong poison to repeatedly injure himself just to level up his light magic. He explains Maria was cruel because she accidentally threw his herbs into the trash. She gets emotional and swears loyalty to him forever, which makes the watching goddess quite happy. Later, Takumi visits a library and finds only 4 books about alchemy in the place. He wonders why nobody cares and realizes they are written in a dead ancient language. He thinks this would be easier if he were in Full Metal Alchemist, but these strange books are actually easy for him. Nalim's blessing allows him to understand every language in the world with no effort. The guy is basically a cheat code, since the goddess gives him everything he needs. At home, Maria mentions she saw what happened with Sophia, which makes him feel watched. Everyone continues making bathrooms, and Maria is impressed by their massive toilet production rate. Takumi says the order is almost done, and he can finally take a break. He tells Maria he wants to take a trip and explore new things. Even though he is happy, he still wants to see what else is out there. He decides to take Sophia as his bodyguard. He'll also bring Kaid along since she is his pet. He tells Maria to stay behind, but she wonders if she is just a burden to him. He says it's dangerous, and she starts crying, claiming she can't handle the house alone. He realizes he'd be too worried about her safety to leave her by herself anyway. He checks her stats and is surprised they aren't actually that terrible. He asks if she is truly sure she wants to go. Sophia thinks Maria should join and offers to teach the girl combat and magic skills. Takumi asks what weapons they need for the journey. Sophia makes a list, while Maria just asks for a basic short sword. Sophia says a short sword won't kill monsters, so she tells Maria to use a spear instead. Takumi starts prepping weapons and levels up from the hard work. He uses dolls modeled after them to design armor so he doesn't have to take measurements. A few days later, the girls are stunned by how well the armor fits them. Sophia is confused how he got the sizes right without even touching them once. He quickly changes the subject to the weapons, and they both seem to like them. He gives them mana rings to help with their spell casting on the road. Sophia thinks it's too much, but he says it was just part of his training. He also reveals he learned ice and lightning magic during the process. They go to the guild so the girls can register for the upcoming trip. Hans tells Takumi he needs to do missions, so he looks for some easy ones. Sophia says easy jobs won't give points, but he doesn't care about his guild rank. Some jerks start harassing the girls, so Takumi steps in to defend them despite being scared. He is shaking but stands firm. A guy tries to hit him, but Takumi uses magic to literally break the guy's hand. The guild master appears and assumes Takumi is the one causing all the trouble. Hans explains the situation and what really happened. He asks Takumi how he did that. He notices Takumi is being very hesitant. He promises to keep his personal info strictly confidential and safe. Hans senses mana, which surprises Takumi because his sensory magic must be very high. Takumi lies and says he didn't use any magic at all. He says he just turned coal into diamond. Hans thinks they should all be promoted to rank D immediately for their skill. Barak says this will stop people from harassing them. Takumi reminds him the girls just joined, so Hans offers some specific missions to help them level up. They head out to eliminate goblins and humanoid lizards called kobolds. Kobolds are basically just weird-looking upright lizards. Keed tells Takumi telepathically that 4 goblins are hiding in the bushes nearby. Sophia kills 2 with ease while the others charge the group. Keed uses her webs to trip the remaining creatures. Takumi and Maria finish them off without breaking a sweat. He is surprised by how many monsters are spawning in this area. He notes they've finished the mission requirements 3 times over already. Sophia says there's a camp nearby likely led by a powerful general. A general is rank C, usually requiring 5 parties of rank D to defeat safely. Takumi wants to run, but Sophia thinks one strong magic attack will work. They could take the whole camp out. Keed tells Takumi she is about to level up. He puts her in a mobile dimension so she won't be in the fight. Sophia says there are hundreds of goblins and 0 witnesses nearby, so they can just nuke everything with magic and it'll be fine. They use their rings to blast the goblins, but the general and knights finally appear. The general charges, but Takumi blocks it and uses fire magic to win. At the guild, Barak yells at them for doing a suicide mission alone. But Keed jumps out of the dimension as a cute girl and hits Barak. Since this is an Isekai, the spider obviously turned into a pretty girl. Maria is impressed that Keed can talk and looks so adorable now. Hans says Takumi is promoted to rank E while the girls are rank F. They are moving up the ranks. Back home, Maria asks for cloth scraps to make some new underwear. She mentions she wants to sew some underwear for herself and Sophia, using whatever leftover scraps are lying around. Takumi thinks scraps are a bit trashy, so he draws a much more modern design for her. He thinks he accidentally offended her, but she actually insists that he personally makes the garments. Keed tells Takumi that Papuk is here to talk business, but the merchant is found unconscious because he saw the spider's new human form and just died. Keed explains that the shock of her beauty was simply too much for his weak heart. Papuk recovers and says Lord Godwin wants a meeting, which makes Takumi think he is in deep trouble. The merchant admits it is about the bathrooms and preventing the Empire from stealing the porcelain tech. Takumi realizes he can't say no to a lord unless he wants to be an outlaw. Godwin thanks him for the toilets. Takumi tells him to stop bowing, but Godwin says he'll bow for a clean kingdom. He also thanks Takumi for nuking the goblins and warns him to stay frosty because the Empire is coming. The Empire wants his magic, and Godwin warns that a target is now painted on Takumi's back. Back home, Takumi spends 3 days in a sweatshop phase making underwear for the ladies. He is totally drained and tells them to try them on, then runs away in pure embarrassment. He builds refrigerators next, and the girls are stunned that they can keep their snacks cold. He decides to upgrade their gear using mithril and adamantite because their current stuff is basic. He visits the guild and learns those ores are rarer than a polite person on the internet. He could synthesize them, but that would kill his mana bar, so mining is the plan. Hans mentions a city called Horrors has a mine. 2 birds with 1 stone, and Takumi thinks it is a pretty solid plan for once. Heel appears and brings back a buffalo carcass before the meat turns into a biohazard. They pack the carriage and head to Horrors with Gambo the blacksmith in tow. The guild is worried about them. The king loves his new toilet, so the news is spreading like a wildfire. They park Gambo inside a safe barrier while they go tree hunting for materials. They are hunting trees, which are basically just trees with an attitude and mean faces. Takumi attacks one while the girls cover his back like a professional SWAT team. Suddenly, they are surrounded by a mob of angry wood, including a giant ancient tree. It regenerates its roots instantly, so Takumi has to go for the one-shot kill. He enchants his sword with flames and slices the giant salad into toothpicks. The tree drops rare apples, so Takumi hoards them like a greedy little loot goblin. They reach Horrors. They start the Iron Mole extermination mission. He finds some adamantite, but a mole jumps him, so he flashbangs it with light magic and kills it easily. They finish the mining trip and return to Bolton to start the crafting process. He makes a fire-enchanted knife and new gear for the girls over the next week. He enchants his own boots for speed, but he goes too fast and slams face first into a brick wall. Sophia says she would die for him, so he tells her to value her life more. Nalim watches the blood-stained sword and hopes he is ready for the upcoming trauma. A year passes, and the heroes in Sedonia are finally ready for their first deployment. They claim light magic belongs to them. They demand the king hand over the creator, but the king just laughs in their faces. The messenger is pissed because the king won't hand over the toilet wizard to the empire. The king refuses the threats and stands his ground because he has a backbone. Takumi tells the girls about their upcoming royal road trip, and they're both totally down for the ride, though he warns it'll be a full week of traveling with monsters. They'll be cruising in a carriage pulled by literal nightmare horses. Maria starts prepping the snacks immediately. He plans to craft some new cloaks using those magic stones he got from his merchant buddy. These fancy rags will literally hide them from everyone's perception. Sophia thinks they'll be great for fighting, while Takumi just wants to avoid any awkward social tension or drama. At the local market, Maria and Sophia gossip about how Takumi is a talented genius who clearly doesn't know how to take a nap. Maria starts teasing Sophia about being in love with the boss, which is just classic workplace drama. Sophia turns bright red and runs away, claiming he's just a great master and nothing else at all. Later, Takumi visits the church to pray to a statue of the goddess who ruined his life. He gets teleported to her again. She thinks he's just there for a blessing, but he has some burning questions about the other goddess. Nalim insists she is the only real deity around. She tells him he'll learn more later and wonders why he's so obsessed with her competition. He admits the Empire keeps poking him. He worries his blessings are making him a target. Nalim admits he was summoned because of Sedonia, but Takumi wonders where the real heroes are hiding. Then comes the shocker. Nalim admits she totally messed up and sent him a full year before the actual heroes arrived. She screwed up the calendar. He's been wandering around the past for months now. Takumi asks why she sent him so early, but she just dodges the question like a professional politician. She claims their time is up and tells him to bring snacks next time. She kicks him back to reality before he can complain. He wakes up and realizes the goddess is just a big flake. He doesn't care about the other heroes since he plans to keep avoiding them anyway. Flash forward 10 months and we see Akira training. While the real heroes train like tryhards, Takumi decides it is finally time to build himself a custom pimped-out carriage because he is done borrowing basic rides. He needs to borrow a horse from the guild, but Maria mentions the Forest of Death is just crawling with monsters. They could find unicorns or dragon horses there, which are way faster than any regular old farm horse you'd find. They head to the woods, and Takumi is relieved to hear dragon horses just look like regular horses with scales. They have a rhino horn and scales, but otherwise they're just horses with a serious skin condition and attitude. The horn is basically their only weird feature. Cade tells them to move their lazy butts. Sophia notices the spider is excited, probably hoping to find another weird pet to join their little freak show. Sophia senses danger and gets ready for a fight, but the monster just ignores them completely. The wolf passes by because their new magic cloaks are working perfectly to keep them invisible to the local wildlife. Takumi is proud of his magic gear, but Sophia strips hers off to fight for actual gains. They kill a boar and Maria gets hyped for dinner. Fresh bacon for everyone tonight. Takumi finds a dead tree and starts chopping it up because he needs wood for his fancy new ride. Cade feels ignored and wanders off into the woods like a moody teenager. She finds some dead trees and hears a strange noise. She finds an injured dragon horse that tries to zap her with lightning for being too close. She promises the horse that Takumi will fix him up, acting like she's his personal nurse. She webs up 2 monsters, while the horse helps out by blasting them with a horn-based lightning bolt. Suddenly, they're surrounded by a massive swarm of termites. Keed builds a silk bunker to hide inside. She tries to call Takumi, but the signal is dead. Takumi and the group arrive just before she becomes termite food. She cries and hugs him, complaining that the silk blocked her mental phone call. Sophia notes the thick webs probably acted like a giant magic Faraday cage. Takumi only realized something was wrong when their mana link went totally dark and silent, so he tracked her down. Maria finds the half-dead horse and Keed begs Takumi to heal it, but the beast's magic shield keeps bouncing his spells back. Takumi shoves the horse into his magic chest, but Sophia warns that it'll probably kill his mana bar instantly. He claims he's fine, then passes out like a dead battery on the spot. He tries to drink a potion, but his body is too drained and he just shuts down completely. Sophia realizes the horse is draining him like a parasite, and they have to get it out now. She holds his hand and begs Keed to let the horse loose, but the spider is worried about the beast's safety. Sophia tells her to just build another silk box. Maria runs to get monster meds, while Sophia stays by Takumi's side to make sure he survives. He wakes up the next day with Sophia basically spooning him for warmth. He thanks them for not letting him die from his own reckless and stupid behavior. They visit the garden where the spider and the horse are apparently becoming best friends forever. He introduces himself and uses his magic to turn the horse into a powerhouse once again. He asks for a name, and Keed suggests sticking with the theme of random tree leaves. He names it Tsubaki, since the tree is forever green and blooms with fancy red and white flowers. Elsewhere in a slave shop in the capital, a man looks at a slave named Rieva and wonders why she's even worth a single penny. She promises to study hard, but he dumps her because he wants an immediate tool, not a project. Her current master tries to comfort her after the rejection. He hopes for a good master, but she knows he's been saying that for way too long. She sacrificed her freedom so her family could live better, but now she's just stuck. Meanwhile, Takumi drags the girls back to the workshop, which really annoys them because they wanted a break. Takumi visits the guild, where someone is whining to Barak about a local monster sighting nearby. Hans tells him about the scary creature that's been lurking around the city lately. The sketch of the monster looks familiar, but it hasn't actually attacked anyone yet. Takumi mentions he's here to register his new pet and opens his magical storage chest. He opens his magic chest, and the whole guild starts screaming in terror because his pets are the monsters. Sophia asks Mulan for a slave to help Takumi with his obsessive crafting habits. Mulan says she can't help right now. She'll check with other stores and notes how Sophia has actually started to look human again. Sophia meets Maria, and they talk about how they're basically useless at alchemy. They can't help him with his work. He carries the whole load alone. Maria teases her again, and they head back to the shop only to find Takumi passed out. Gambo says the kid is going to work himself into an early grave if he doesn't stop. Takumi finishes the carriage and shows the girls the massive amount of interior space he created. He used spatial expansion magic to make it bigger on the inside, like a magic police box. Sophia is amazed that she can't feel any bumps even though they're flying down the road. They find the Lion Fangs, who are joining the trip, along with Godwin and Papik. The big shots want to see the carriage's interior. They lose their minds when they see it, since it's basically a luxury apartment on wheels. They offer him a mountain of cash for the secret to making these magic vans. Godwin stops them from hounding him, but admits the carriage is worth 1 billion yen. Takumi is happy to finally be filthy rich. They finally start the trek toward the royal capital, while Godwin gossips with his assistant about Takumi's sudden and slightly suspicious rise to fame. Godwin knows Takumi is going to be a superstar, but also knows he'll need protection from vultures. Months later, Akin is reading up on the fake goddess while looking at a slave girl. She realizes how much humans suck, while Takumi finally arrives at the capital without being eaten. Heel notes the girls vaporized every monster before they could even get close. Papik says Takumi needs to build the king a custom carriage, but suggests waiting until later. Takumi thinks he can finish the project before the royal meeting starts. He worries about finding enough workshop space in the crowded capital city. Papik promises to handle the logistics, which makes Takumi feel much better about the workload. The boy is honestly a total workaholic and needs a real hobby. They plan to visit a shop. Sophia knows the Pulun Company is the best place to find legal slaves. She warns him to stop being a hero and find an assistant. He claims his pets help out. She reminds him that a giant spider can't actually do advanced magical alchemy. Takumi meets the owner Burton. He needs a worker with magical talent. Maria and Sophia realize they lost track of the spider again. Sophia hears a scream from the back. She finds Rieva trembling in fear because she just saw a massive talking bug. Rieva is just a nerd obsessed with books. Sophia brings Takumi to meet the girl, who is apparently a total alchemy fangirl. Takumi introduces himself and is impressed by her deep knowledge of ancient magic. She thinks she is useless because her previous owners were total corporate jerks. Sophia points out the girl learned magic alone, which is actually quite impressive for a slave. They realize they share the same weirdly specific ideas about how alchemy works. He quizzes her knowledge. She answers perfectly and he invites her to the team. They sign the contract and she asks to send her money home to her brother. Takumi worries that she will stay a slave forever if she gives all her cash away. Sophia thinks working for him is basically a scholarship for her future career. She meets the rest of the gang, who are all weirdly excited to have her around. Meanwhile, the Emperor is throwing a tantrum because his stupid demands got rejected. The Empress suggests spreading hate propaganda until their heroes are strong enough to commit crimes. Takumi shows off his skills and promises the girl she will be a pro too. He says genuine interest is the only thing that actually matters when playing with magic. An old man asks Takumi about the finished carriage he is admiring right now. Takumi says he built it for the king. The old man is actually the king and thinks the boy is a genius. He admits this is just an informal and sneaky meeting. He wanted to thank the boy for fixing the city's disgusting sewage problem without all the drama. He explains a party would just make the Empire send more annoying assassins after him. Takumi thanks the king for the protection against the Empire's weird religious fanboys. The king says protecting his people is his job. The group leaves the palace with bags of cash. The king tells everyone to keep their mouths shut about the secret meeting. Back in Bolton, Takumi buys the mansion he was previously just renting from the merchant. The girls refuse a salary because they think he already pays for everything they need. He tells them to save up for retirement. Sophia notes she is an elf and will probably be guarding his grave for centuries. Maria wants to be buried next to him, which is slightly romantic, but mostly just creepy. In Sedonia, Elizabeth looks at the sewage device and decides to start a holy war. Rieva wants to be an adventurer just to level up her mana bar for alchemy work. She joins the guild and thanks the receptionist for helping her send money to family. Hans asks for a team name since most of them are already rank D powerhouses. Takumi realizes he doesn't have a front line since he is too squishy for combat. Barakio says an adventurer's body is their only asset and starts throwing him around like laundry. He tries to think of a name while getting his bones crushed by the master. He begs the girls for help before he dies from this brutal and unnecessary training. They suggest names that are honestly terrible, and he thinks Maria is just being useless now. Sophia wants to fight the guild master herself, while Takumi just tries to survive the workout. In the future, Yamato trains like a reckless idiot, while Akira watches with total judgment. Akane rejects Akira's invite because she knows he is just a predictable and boring hero. She finds out the real goddess actually likes all races instead of just human supremacists. Takumi gives Rieva a magic ring and a stick as a very weird birthday gift. The spider gets jealous, so he gives her a weapon that doesn't mess with her webs. Barakio keeps punching him until he picks a team name or loses his entire lunch. Sophia gives him advice on how to actually block a hit without dying immediately. Hans offers him an escort mission that will only take 4 days with his van. He tries to outsource the job to the Lion Fangs, but they are too busy. On the road, Thomas thanks him for the ride and for providing the world with cheese. They stop the car when they see goblins and wolves having a violent neighborhood dispute. The horse blasts them, and they reach the city to eat some warm, creamy stew. Takumi realizes he missed the chance to buy rice, and his day is officially ruined. Sophia says she loves her new life because he finally let her out of the cage. He names the group Wings of Nalim because the goddess gave him wings to fly. They return home and find the house filled with a cloud of paralyzing poison gas. Masked men grab the girls, but the spider helps him kick their teeth in quickly. He heals everyone because he is a walking medkit who is totally immune to poison. The spider already tied up the remaining attackers like a bunch of Christmas hams. Sophia says they were pros and tells him to call the gym teacher for help. They find out the Empire sent a death squad to kill anyone who likes toilets. Your script is complete. The hit squad attacked because Takumi built those magic potties. He thinks running away is smart, but Godwin thinks staying in Bolton is better since he has a whole army of fans there. Baraki says he only needs to worry during adventures, so Takumi considers just retiring to avoid getting murdered. Baraki notes his group is too strong to just quit now. Sophia promises to keep him safe from harm. Baraki thinks more training will fix his weakness. Takumi visits the guild to register the new group name. Sophia warns him that his head is now worth a fortune. Hans confirms the bounty is why people are trying to kill him. He really needs to watch his back. Takumi shares his paranoia with the team, and they promise to stay awake during their next shift. He considers installing an electric fence and a pit bull, or maybe just a dragon, but decides that is probably overkill for a suburban mansion. He does absolutely none of that. He builds a magical barrier to stop intruders instead. It is much classier than using barbed wire. Rieva offers to help him set up the magical home security system. Sophia suggests hiring a tank, but the girls demand no men allowed. Another woman joining the harem is the only option. Takumi wonders where to find a trustworthy hire, and Sophia suggests that random solo adventurers are usually too sketchy to trust. She suggests checking Mulan's slave shop again. He agrees that a legal contract is safer for his secrets. The girls promise they are loyal even without the paperwork. Knights guard the house while the girls sleep, but Sophia notices Takumi is still working late. Rieva helps with alchemy while Sophia offers to chip in too. The kids play with toys while Sophia engraves shields. Takumi admits his mana control is still too trash to pilot a golem, but he is trying to finish his homework. He successfully creates the magical barrier, which finally impresses Sophia. He thinks that if he levels up, he can build a robot brain. In Sedonia, the Emperor fumes over the failed assassination attempt. Elizabeth suggests ghosting the kingdom instead of talking peace right now. They need to focus on summoning more heroes. Homer admits they cannot read the ancient ruins yet, but they can still wing it by guessing the texts. They just need to interpret some old scribbles properly. He says it will take 3 months to charge the battery. Takumi fails at golem practice, and Keed wonders why he even wants a robot when he has her. He has the whole girl squad. They are always by his side. He thinks 4 companions is just better math than 3. Sophia asks if he can tame a golem like a pet. She mentions an iron golem lives in the nearby dungeon, which is news to him. He has never actually stepped inside a dungeon. He wants to go, but she warns it is suicide without a tank. Takumi ignores the warning because he has main character energy. They find a 3-meter-tall hunk of metal and rock. Sophia says to aim for the core to kill it, but he wants to keep it. A dead golem is just a heavy paperweight to him. The golem wakes up, and Sophia thinks they should run for their lives, but Takumi is too stubborn to listen to her logic. He ignores the ladies and charges in, so Sophia tells everyone to provide backup. Takumi stops them because he feels a weird magical vibe coming from the robot. They think he is brave, but he is actually just terrified. He only stayed because the golem did not seem to be aggressive. He realizes the golem is a fan of Nalim, so it recognizes his holy blessing. He tames it and names it Titan, which is about as creative as naming a dog Spot. The boy is a naming genius, clearly. Keed hears it trying to talk, so Takumi thinks it needs a new body. Surprisingly, this golem does not transform into a cute anime girl, which is a rare twist. The golem turns into a tiny pocket version of itself instead. Keed asks for help talking to it, and Takumi promises to try his best. A few months into the future, the heroes are acting like total frat boys and harassing everyone they see. Takumi worries about the girls and tries to fire them for their own safety. They get depressed, and Maria says he will have to fight her before he can fire her. She wonders why he thinks their safety matters more than his own life. She reminds him that he is the bird and they are the wings. He cannot fly alone. Takumi realizes he was being a drama queen and agrees to keep the squad together forever. He finishes a new body for Titan. Keed is happy to finally have a giant metal friend. It comes with a mace, a shield, and a few other shiny accessories. Most importantly, it can go from toy-sized to giant-sized instantly. Nalim thinks Takumi is being a bit too adventurous for her liking. Her assistant reports a fake spirit. Anadi should not exist, but human belief made her real. The fake god is turning into an evil spirit that will probably trigger a world war. Nalim cannot interfere, so she sent Takumi to clean up the human mess. Flashback to a year ago near Bolton. Bad governance forced everyone to move out of their homes. A girl named Manny lost her husband because of the greedy, useless nobles. Godwin hears 1,000 citizens were kicked out of their village. Another lord took them in but cannot afford to feed them anymore. They need space. The only open land is full of hungry monsters. Who could possibly be the hero that kills everything and builds a town? Let us just act surprised. Takumi tells the group they are visiting a very difficult dungeon today. They head to the Beast King's forest, which sounds like a fun vacation spot. He is shocked to find an entire underground forest with a fake sky. Kaid detects enemies before they can even think about attacking the group. Titan smashes the big guys while the group loots every shiny chest they can find. They reach the final floor after one day of non-stop grinding. Takumi pulls an Indiana Jones and steps on a trap. A giant bull starts chasing them down the hall. They hide in a narrow passage and wait for the danger to pass. Kaid senses a very big problem. An S-rank Earth dragon appears and looks very hungry. The girls are understandably terrified. Takumi regrets not making Titan stay in his giant mode. They grab its tail while everyone else attacks from the front. It stays alive and yeets Titan into the wall with a smack. Sophia spots the weak point and he calls for Sabaki. She attacks the flank, and Takumi worries he will get fried if he gets too close to the fire. He throws a lightning sword into its mouth and kills it instantly. Sabaki evolves into a dragon horse, and he loots some shiny dragon scales. Sophia finds his obsession with crafting materials to be quite funny. Godwin asks Takumi if he wants to develop the monster-infested southern land. He knows neighboring nations are too scared to touch it. It is basically a death trap for tourists. Triaria tried to take it, and their entire kingdom fell apart because of it. He wants Takumi to build a village because his previous resume looks great. Sophia points out it is dangerous, but Godwin says they have no choice. Takumi is the only one who can survive. He admits he wants to help the refugees who were betrayed by the nobles. He wants a home for them but has other secret reasons too. Takumi stops the questions and agrees to help because he is a nice guy. He remembers the kindness he received and decides to pay it forward today. He rejects the knights and heads out to start the construction project alone. They arrive and start spamming earth magic to build some massive walls. They build most of the town in a single afternoon of magic work. He asks Godwin to send the refugees after only 10 days of working. The refugees are terrified they are being sent to a monster buffet. They think the king is just trying to get rid of them, but then they see a massive wall protecting the whole area. Takumi welcomes them to their new monster-free gated community. He built houses and barracks so everyone can stay safe and dry. Dawn asks if it was magic, and Takumi says yes, but it is not finished. Everyone is happy, but Sophia sees that Manny looks like she lost a bet. She lost her husband and feels alone, so Sophia suggests she marry Takumi. Sophia asks if she wants to be a maid or a wife. She does not care. Takumi wants an assistant, but she thinks he is just another creep. She rejects the offer because she hates nobles and thinks they are all trash. Takumi gives her more time to think. She thinks staying without working is rude, so she walks into the forest. She immediately regrets being so stubborn. A scary roar makes her realize her mistake. Kaid warns Takumi that a monster is here, and it is just Titan. Dawn raises the bridges fast. Manny is trapped outside, so Takumi heads out to rescue her from the wolves. He jumps in and saves her just before she becomes a snack for the pack. He kills the wolves, and she warns him that more are coming to the party. His group joins in and starts clearing the area. Manny bandages his arm and sees he is a good guy. He promises no one gets hurt in his town, which is a big promise. She asks to be his maid since he is clearly not like the other jerks. He accepts and the whole group welcomes the newest member of the squad. Dawn tells Godwin about the new city, and it sounds like a miracle. The Empire feels threatened because a magical fort just appeared on their border. They know Takumi is the wizard behind the legendary and mysterious construction. They start a summoning ritual that shakes the entire magical continent. Takumi feels the mana shift and knows the other heroes have finally arrived. 3 months later, the heroes are already top-ranked fighters according to Nalim. The Emperor wants to show off his new toys to the whole world. Akira and Yamato think they are the main characters of the universe now. Akin knows the Empire is shady and does not care about the glory. She just wants the truth to be recognized by everyone around her. Edgefort is prosperous, and the villagers are making some high-quality weapons. Takumi is happy everyone is thriving, but Sophia finds a weird new lizard. The monsters are getting buffed, and they need to start a hunting season soon. They are not a threat yet, so they do not hunt them down. The mana spike from 3 months ago is drawing them to the town. Barak has a mission for Takumi because the heroes are coming to visit soon. Dawn is confused how Takumi knew they appeared exactly 3 months ago. They realize the heroes caused the massive mana wave that woke the monsters. Maria thinks they are holy guides, but Takumi knows they are just trouble. He hopes they are decent people who can fix the Empire's messy policies. Lulu and Akin are being treated like trash by the other summoned heroes. Akin defends her slave and insists she rides in the main carriage. Hans says the heroes have black hair and eyes, just like Takumi. Papek wants Takumi to escort them to the capital city for security. Manny wants to come too because staying home is boring for her now. He says it is dangerous, but she reveals she also knows earth magic. Everyone in this town is a fighter, so he lets her come along. Akira wants to buy some local elven girls once they reach the capital. They think being level 30 makes them the gods of this new world. Akin wants to stop them before they do something completely and utterly stupid. The heroes arrive at the guild and act like entitled and bratty children. Akira punches a guy for not bowing to his heroic and shiny presence. Takumi refuses to sell his girls and tells the hero